Amazing, guys. So first of all, yes, welcome and hi, everyone. Sarah, so lovely to see you again. Amazing. Rachel, so wonderful to see you here. Beautiful. So our today webinar, as you know already, is about employee well-being trends, and it is based on 3 different reports which have been produced recently by Oxyzn, McKinsey, and Gartner. So I'm gonna share with you some of the challenges that I personally feel that they're really important and we all need to be aware of, but also I'm gonna share with you some of my most favorite best practices / trends for 2024 and not only beyond. So, well, many of you might be wondering who is this presentation for? You might be here by accident. If that's the case, I just want to say that this presentation is about is actually dedicated to HR leaders, event managers, talent acquisition, employee benefit professionals, anyone who would like to support their employees' well-being and mental health. I see more and more people joining. Welcome, everyone. I see familiar faces, and I'm so excited about it. And I'm gonna just, for those of you who just joined, we just got started. So, a little bit about me, just in case you don't know me, and we just met on LinkedIn, and you have never heard about me before. I am Alexandra Kafka. I'm the founder of Oxyzn and Urban Yoga Lab. I'm a corporate well-being architect and a former PR executive. I used to work in the corporate world before. I used to have a 9-to-5 job. And why I'm saying that, it's because I know how it feels to be, an employee who might be struggling, right? I was struggling with my mental health issues for more than 10 years. So maybe this is why I'm so passionate about this topic. For the last couple of years, I have traveled to over 40 countries, immersing myself in different cultures around the world. I spent time with Buddhist monks in Thailand, in Chiang Mai specifically, in some wonderful Buddhist monasteries. I spent time in homeless centers, learning mindfulness by some of the best world coaches on the planet. I had the opportunity to run retreats all over the world in places like Thailand, in Jamaica. And as a corporate well-being architect, I have worked with more than 50 brands like Wells Fargo, Soho House, and RBC. And I have been a keynote speaker in more than 25 summits. But enough about me. I just wanted to share this with you because my intention is always to share the most practical, actionable, easy to follow techniques and practices that you can implement within your business from day one. So a little bit before we kick off, I just thought it would be great to go through the agenda together. So we are going to discuss today about the 7 key challenges. The 7 key challenges in employee well-being, as those have been highlighted in our recent white paper on the future of work. We're going to discuss 6 trends on future of work, as those have been highlighted by Gartner, McKinsey, and Gallup recently. And I hope we have some time for questions. A little bit like housekeeping, just a little bit of it. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to just pop those questions in the chat. As you know, already the presentation is being recorded and you will receive the replay later on along with the slides. As you know, I do like to be interrupted as much as possible. So feel free to pop your questions in the chat, but also this kind of webinars, the way I see them is like a forum where we exchange ideas and best practices. So I'd love to read about your own best practices, your own tips, and ideas that you would like to share with the rest of us here in the chat. A little bit about the report. As you know, the report was conducted, some of you know already, it was conducted last year in collaboration with Fortune 500 companies. It has been featured by Forbes, and you can actually download it via scanning the QR code here, but also my team will drop the link in the comments as well. A little bit about Oxyzn. We are an employee well-being platform, a body, that's how we call ourselves, a well-being body that fits inside your employees' pockets. We have been entrusted by some very big brands, by our mother company, Urban Yoga Lab, some of the biggest brands in the world, and we're really excited about having this opportunity to serve those big players. It has to do with hybrid working and employee engagement. Now, what is really kind of alarming is that employee engagement has remained stagnant within the last 10 years, according to Gallup. It's stagnant at 31% in the US, 13% in Europe, and less than 13% in the UK, which means that only 1 out of 10 of our employees are actually motivated, enthusiastic, happy, excited to go to work. This is sad. This is really sad. And I want to share like a video. I know that some of you have watched this recently because it was viral. It was all over the news recently, but I really want to share with you. It's going to be just a minute. And I want to hear what you think, guys.
Many of you have come back to the office.
I'm gonna hurt.
And we've noticed it's made a big difference. Unfortunately, too big of a group hasn't returned.
IT guy, where are you? Nobody knows his first name. We just call him IT guy.
We're getting more serious about getting everyone back into the office for the simple reason that we're better when we're together. We move faster, we get better results, and the executives are going to tell you more about that right now.
We need you ready and present, and we need it now.
Working together face-to-face helps us create ideas faster and better. So we have new products and new offerings for our customers. We're able to collaborate and help each other to be better leaders.
Lynn's hairstyle looks like it's working from home.
We all know we spend more time together, we end up creating better solutions for our clients.
Excited. I love working in the office.
It encourages organic breakthrough moments of creativity, specifically across teams who haven't worked together in person as much before.
I'm the office manager. I can't work from home, unfortunately. So if I have to suffer, so should all these people. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't want these people to come back, because if they do, that means I'm gonna have to constantly walk to the kitchen and refill all the Diet Coke in the refrigerator, because these people are all addicted to Diet Coke. No, seriously, like, these people need to look up on WebMD to see the negative consequences of drinking a 6-pack of Diet Coke every day. I'm not kidding. We spend more money on Diet Coke than actually paying doctors.
It's quite painful, so I'm not going to keep going. But the main reason why I'm sharing this with you is because this specific CEO went viral for all the wrong reasons. So this is a kind of bizarre and cringe video. We're going to drop the link in the comments if you have the strength and willingness to watch it. But here we see the CEO of internet brands, Bob Briscoe. He spent much of this video's 2 minutes poking fun at people who continue to stay from home, working from home. I do understand that remote work and hybrid work has become a hot button issue, especially post-pandemic, but to try to change it by trying to force people to come back to the office or to try to make people feel like bad about their decision to work from home. This is wrong. And let me tell you, I used to work in PR before. So when it comes to your employer brand, an employer kind of brand is key. This kind of videos is the last thing you want to share with the rest of your employees. An employer brand is not just about attracting talent. It is about how people perceive your company, including your clients. So if your clients feel that your team is having a great time, if they feel like you look after your team, and you embrace a hybrid working style that fits everyone's needs. And I know it's not an easy one, it's a difficult thing, but it's very important to be aware of those kind of initiatives and best practices where senior leaders are trying to force their teams to come back to the office. This is not the right strategy, especially when it comes to Gen Zs, because we know that this generation is not attracted by the typical traditional benefits, don't we? So they are attracted by flexibility, modern well-being benefits, exciting team bonding events. So by watching this video, I can only imagine how a Gen Z kind of employee it might feel. So my next thing is about the key challenges. So we have the key challenges, 7 big challenges here. And it is based on the white paper we just produced. Now, those are challenges that organizations must prioritize in 2024 if they want to boost their employees' productivity. So number 1 is digital addiction. Now, the big challenge here is that remote and digital communication, now it became part of our day-to-day life. But at the same time, most of us are struggling with distractions, constant distractions, digital addiction, and some of us, all this kind of constant communication, like some of us, we might feel like we get bombarded nonstop. So that eventually leads to burnout, leads to digital fatigue, which eventually makes us less productive and less happy, less engaged. The second challenge is maintaining connection. Now, let's be honest, there is no doubt that building, sustaining and meaningful relationships in the hybrid working environment is difficult. And it can be really complex, but at the end of the day, it's the thing that impacts your employees' morale and cohesion. So I guess the question is, when it comes to engagement, how do we make sure that there is adequate communication from day one when the employee enters the office or enters a Zoom call, and there is a clear communication and there is strong collaboration among our hybrid employees? The third challenge is all about work-life boundaries. And truth is that, yes, we see so many perks working from home. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big advocate of having the opportunity to be working from home, but it comes with some challenges too. And one of those key challenges is the work-life balance. We see more and more employees struggling to find the right boundaries, clear boundaries between their personal and their professional life. So it is important to help them to reduce stress, to enhance their well-being. And we know that the work-life balance issues are more and more kind of significant among employees, at least from our experience in Oxyzn, among employees who work in tech, legal practices, and finance. The next challenge is about mental health support. Now, the hybrid work model seems like it almost kind of requires a more robust approach when it comes to mental health support and resources. And I know that this is difficult. It is a very difficult topic. So I do think there is a big gap in supporting employees' well-being and mental health when those employees work from home. But it's important to try to find new ways to support and make sure that the employees feel supported. The next one is about inclusivity and equity. So hybrid work can introduce many kind of biases. For example, we see proximity bias. Proximity bias means that a leader within an organization tends to favor an employee just because they're close to them, just because they go to the office every day. And as a result, those employees who work from home most of the time or more days than this employee, they do not get promoted or they do not get to receive their bonus and stuff like that. So it's so important to be aware of that. And the next challenge is about leadership and leadership in a virtual world. I would say that this is one of the most significant challenges. And the question is, how do we address this? How do we address effective leadership? And this is something we will see later on, but now it's important to embrace new strategies and to go away from this traditional model of the CEO and senior leaders just being responsible for, bringing, like, increasing revenues, and but go more about leading kind of people-centric, human-centric initiatives within the organization, because eventually this will help employees to feel more empowered. So we have a poll here. I'm going to leave this at the very end, so we're not going to take time now on this one. We're going to do this right at the end. And I just want to share with you some trends, right? I feel that, and I bet some of you might feel that already, there is so much noise when it comes to employee well-being. So I will try to keep it simple. The number one trend we see is about unlocking better sleep. And I think the pandemic actually accelerated this trend. And there is a greater focus now to this than ever before. So we know that sleep can have such a massive impact on our productivity. We know that on a personal level. So now there are more and more businesses that are concerned of the employees' productivity because there are so many, those employees who are struggling with sleep issues. In fact, in the UK, 40% of employees suffer because of lack of sleep, according to fertility, right? So if we know that 4 out of 10 of our employees are struggling with that, and we know that lack of sleep is associated with absenteeism, depression, lack of focus, the question is how we can help them to overcome this challenge. And we have found that this kind of challenge comes because it includes diverse factors affecting sleep. But as every challenge presents some opportunities. So what we have seen from our survey is that employees, they want to find new ways to address this challenge. And more specifically, they would like to get access to some tools that they are data-driven kind of solutions. And to be honest with you, for me personally, sleep is a topic which is very close to my heart. And when I think about it, and this is my suggestion to the partners we work with, it comes down to 3 main drivers. So if you can introduce a program within your organization around 3 main pillars, you will be able to see some phenomenal results very fast. So number 1 is helping your employees to build healthier habits. Because sleeping better is all about the bad habits or the good habits that are part of our day-to-day lifestyle. So that's the one pillar. Number two, it has to do with your employees' relationship to technology. So it's really important to introduce a program which includes digital well-being kind of aspect. And the last thing is the physical well-being, right? So how do we help our employees to feel like elevated when it comes to their physical well-being in a way that it's easy, is accessible? So for example, we show them easy ways to fix their posture or easy ways to distress via anti-stress stretching while they are at the office, or we show them some breathing techniques. These are all about the physical well-being. And if they get access to those tools, then they can perform so much better because they can sleep better. Trend number two, personalization and AI. Now, if you know a thing or two about me, you do know that I'm a huge advocate of kind of embracing AI. And why? The main reason is because data is the key to everything. So, and personalization via AI is it's another good thing. So there is an increased number of employees. And we see that from our surveys. We see that from our focus groups and our questionnaires day in, day out. There is an increasing number of employees who desire personalized products utilizing biometric data. Now, I know very well that HR leaders are skeptical about it. I don't blame them. I understand the reasons very, very well. But it's really important to, because of course they do not want to allow their employees to share their personal data with their vendors. Totally get it. It's understandable. But from our experience with Oxyzn, if you do this the right way, you can create a win-win situation. What do I mean by that? First of all, employees, and we have seen that from our experience, are just fascinated finding things about how to improve their own well-being on a personalized level. So then they are more engaged when it comes to your employee well-being programs and initiatives. But also from an HR's perspective, allow me to tell you that actually, with all our partners who accepted to embrace AI with us, what they got in return was that they were able to start gathering more sophisticated data. They were better able to ask the right questions anonymously on our platform. And hopefully they were able over time to make employees to feel more comfortable about sharing what they think, what they need, and what they're struggling with. So yes, we do know employees seek data-backed, accessible products and services, which can empower them to control their health outcomes. While at the same time, companies emphasize on a more personalized, science-backed solution, which can help them to be more successful. So it's a win-win situation. And it's this trend where I'm going to talk about is about boosting employee utilization rates. Becomes a top priority. This is a topic very, very close to my heart. Why is that? The other day I had a conversation with an HRD from a very, very well-established bank here in the UK. And I said to him, you know what kind of initiatives do you organize? And he said, you know what, I do well-being with puppies, and I do women's well-being about menopause and this and that. And I was like, oh, that's great. So how many employees are actually using those kind of services? And he said to me, you know what? I don't mind. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. And we're talking about an organization with thousands and thousands of employees. So I've said to him, so this is not a problem for you. And he said, no, this is not a problem for me. Even if we have one single person, that's perfectly okay for us. And I found that quite surprising. I don't know what you think about it, but yeah, feel free to let me know in the comments. So the truth is, the reality is, with platforms like Headspace and Calm, these are great platforms, by the way, don't get me wrong, but we have seen time and time again that most employees do not even know that they have access to those platforms. Or when they do, they're not happy, because one single platform will never meet each and every employee's needs. So from our data in our white paper, we found that lack of engagement in employee well-being programs is a key challenge. And if we look at the stats, engagement varies significantly across programs. We see a Lunch and Learn series at 10%, the L&D kind of platforms up to 25%. The most popular webinars, the ones that you typically run once every quarter, they have up to 65% engagement. The most interesting part is the initiatives led by your CEO or by your senior leaders. Those have up to 95% engagement. So when it comes to those numbers, I just want to say that I'm a really big advocate of finding new ways of measuring the engagement and eventually the return of investment. And to those HR leaders who feel like this is not important, may I say that it's just a matter of time before your CFO looks at the numbers, look at the data, and realize that those initiatives that you've launched last year, they have no more than 10 users, right? So you might agree with me then that if that's the case, what's going to happen then, right? You're going to lose that budget dedicated to support your employees' well-being, and this is such a shame. So I do believe that it's important to be aware of the fact that, yes, the budget will get removed if we are not proactive. So all I'm saying is, like, let's try to be a little bit more proactive when it comes to those numbers. And at the end of the day, it's not about the numbers and let's measure all the time. It's about the impact our program has on our employees' lives. So the only way I see we can solve this is being better proactive and use a solution. That's another important one that allows you to see the data in real time and allows you to make the relevant adjustments as you go. So you can tell that this is, I'm really passionate about this specific topic, right? Trend number 4, rising adoption of employee well-being platforms. So this is a fascinating trend for the year ahead. Most HRDs we are talking these days, they say that they are planning to include additional employee well-being platforms in their employee well-being strategy, which is great. And they are planning to do this within the next 12 months. And this includes onboarding well-being teams, platforms, even organized employee retreats. So when it comes to this trend, every time we do a survey among employees, the number one thing we get as the main need is that they need more than one solution. And sometimes what we see on those surveys is some employees, they get annoyed. They feel excluded if we just launched a meditation app and we expect everyone to love it. But yeah, meditation And I'm a big believer and a fan of meditation practices, but it's not for everyone. So how do we make sure that we get to meet employees where they are? We need to be aware that, you know what, one size doesn't fit all. Of course, there is not a quick bullet as a kind of as a quick fix for anything, right? But that's why we need to provide variety of options, so everyone feels seen, heard, understood. And I'm not saying like, oh, just go and launch 10 different initiatives, 10 different platforms. No, not at all. But it is a big thing, and we're going to see it more and more this year. So with the arrival also of Gen Z employees, that's another one, right? Gen Zs required a more tailored approach. And from our interviews, what we have seen is that we need to provide different solutions to different generations. So now the problem is that from an employer's perspective, and I'm pretty sure you're all well aware of that, our budget is limited. We need to save costs. And the key thing is that employee well-being is considered expensive, a nice thing to have. But the reality is that it doesn't need to be. So yes, there is a need to provide people with a variety of employee well-being solutions, but my advice will be to look at the right way to save costs without offering low quality programs and platforms to your people. And yes, to affordable solutions. By the way, Oxyzn is super affordable as a solution comparing to the rest of the players, but please do not try to compromise the quality. So when we're looking at our employee well-being benefits, let's try to rationalize our resources we have in place and prioritize ease of use, flexibility, personalization in those platforms we're choosing. The next trend is about leaders, which touched upon that a little bit earlier when we spoke about how important it is to introduce kind of leader-driven kind of initiatives. So we see that leaders modeling positive behavior, and this is crucial for engaging employees. But then the thing is, when it comes to people-led solutions, via our report, we got to discover that when it comes to initiatives led by your leaders, your CEO, everyone feels more enthusiastic, excited, inspired to participate, to join, to be part of your initiatives. But also it's a huge opportunity for your business. If you're able to engage your leaders, it's such a huge opportunity. It can really help. I'll give you an example. The other day, I gave one piece of advice to one of our partners. They are in finance. And they asked me, you know what, Alex, we're really trying to engage our leaders, but it's so hard. What do you suggest? I said, start with baby steps. So my advice was to invite their senior leaders to be those who are ready to be a little bit more quiet, a little bit open about their way they prioritize their own mental health by just allowing the employees to see on their open calendar when they have a one-to-one session with the therapist every week. Right? And by just allowing them, making it visible, it's as if you give permission to your entire organization to feel so much better about prioritizing their own well-being and mental health. It's as if you make it accessible for your employees. acceptable for your employees to actually do that, prioritize their well-being, their mental health. So they did that. So they had their senior leaders, the ones who were keen to just share openly their diary with a therapy session. And that set an example. And they said to me that they got some great feedback after that. So if we look at it from a business perspective, my advice also is when you introduce a well-being initiative, it is important to make sure that your managers are well trained so they can work on all these beautiful, wonderful things you introduce internally. So your managers do need to understand your employee well-being offerings. They're really key. They are on the front line. They create a supportive environment. So if they do not know what do you offer in terms of employee well-being services and solutions, by the way, just go and do a quick poll and go and ask your senior leaders. Let's see if they know what do you have available within your business. But you might get surprised. May I say you might get surprised. So it's really important to make sure that you make your senior leaders part of your initiatives, because if they are not switched on when it comes to your employee well-being strategy, your employees are certainly not. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. So we're going to have a Q&A just right after this trend, the trend 6. So please get your questions ready. So this trend, it's one of my most favorite trends, simply because so many people think that this is a radical thing, right? The 4-day work week, this is so radical. But to be honest with you, from my experience and from my research, I have seen that it goes from radical to routine. And I'll give you very specific examples on that. So first of all, this kind of trend is also called, some people know it as the every Friday off rule. And to me, this is a big part of the puzzle when it comes to boosting performance and productivity. So we have the 4-day work week. In Belgium, I'm not sure if you are aware, but in Belgium, they actually, in February 2022, Belgian employees won the right to perform a full work week in 4 days instead of the usual 5 without loss of salary. So Belgium officially became the first country in Europe to legislate for a 4-day week. Valencia is another city. There is a new law which came into force on November last year, which allows employees to decide whether to work 4 or 5 days a week. And the significant thing is the results. The results show people in those in those cities having higher self-perceived health status, reduced levels of stress. They feel less tired and happier, and more personally satisfied. In the United Kingdom, one of the largest recent 4-work-week trials took place in the UK and involved 61 companies and more than 2,900 employees. Remarkably, 92% of those companies that participated continued with the 4-day week. So there is no doubt that this trend will continue. According to Gartner, it will continue, and more businesses will actually think like will make it part of their strategy. So just to summarize here, today we talked about the 6 key trends for 2024. We talked about the importance of unlocking sleep, personalization and AI, boosting employee utilization rates, rising adoption of employee well-being platforms, leaders modeling positive behavior, and the 4-day work week. Do you have any questions? I'm going to go on the chat now. Gonna go on the chat. Oh, thank you for sharing, guys. So, Helen, thank you so much for sharing. The difference has been transformative. I'm so glad to hear that, Helen. Helps provide booking for the start and the end of the day. Plus, I commute again. I see this with my clients and their performance. That's awesome. Richa, so for organizations with limited budgets, what are some cost-effective yet impactful employee well-being initiatives that HRs can consider? Richa, may I say that we have a series, we offer this as a gift to our community of playbooks, monthly playbooks on key awareness events of the year, where we include signposting information so your employees can get the support they need when they need it. So I'm happy to share those with you, Richa. Feel free to reach out to me so I can share those with you. More than happy. What about employee-led initiatives? Kay, I love this question. And I love this question because when it comes to introducing successful employee well-being programs, it's all about our champions. It's all about our ambassadors. And if we do not have true believers within the organization, it's really, really hard to make, you know, to get the return of investment, to meet our KPIs. So Kay, personally, I'm a big believer of employer-led initiatives, and I'm super glad to have a conversation with you about it. Do people sleep better working from home? Kay, from our research, what we have seen, and from the surveys and the focus groups, the answer is no. No, because people from home, working from home, they're not prepared to have the right work-life balance, right? So the working day ends, but because they work from home, they have that kind of sense of guilt that maybe they didn't work hard enough, they didn't work long enough, they didn't to the targets. They work from home. So what is the manager gonna say about it? So then they end up overworking, hustling, grinding, toxic productivity. So no, they don't sleep better. And I have so much to discuss with you about this topic, actually. I just don't want to take much of your time. I started having sleep problems when working full-time. Here you are, guys. Here is what exactly you just said, right? Chris, thank you so much for being so brave and open to share this with us. And may I say, guys, that part of the reason why I experienced burnout before was I was struggling with insomnia. I was struggling with insomnia for such a long time. And I know how that feels. Working from home and back then I was working from home when this happened. Working from home doesn't make things easier. Sometimes can even trigger us. It's not about working from home or from the office. It's about having access to the right tools we need to feel empowered, to feel at our best. So, so not really, but we'll set up. Oh, yes, that's a great thing that you do at Zelt, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's great that I see many partners or many other providers, they do integrate well-being within their own solutions. And this is a great thing. I'm just trying to find if we have any other questions to scroll up, not down. Okay, sorry guys, there is so many comments and I'm trying to find out. Thanks, would love to chat. Of course, I find sleep so much better. And having boundaries, yes. Another quick question, how do we ensure that the well-being activities are culturally sensitive and inclusive? Very good question. Honestly, Richa, I think you have participated in one of my webinars before, and every single time I see your questions, I say to myself, this is a great idea, to just dedicate an entire webinar on this question. So inspiring. Thanks for sharing. And it's food for thought for me. I'm not going to come back to you right now with an answer, but I can come back to you later, and I will reach out to you directly if that's okay. You can download our white paper here, guys. Again, I'm just including it on our screen, but also Maria will share the link down in the comments below. And Rachel, thank you for sharing. You've said that there is a low percentage, and Rachel, there's nothing wrong about it. Most of the partners we speak to for the very first time, they are struggling with the same thing. Low utilization rates. I see that time and time again. There's nothing unusual about it. And please do not feel that this is happening just within your own organization. Happens to every single organization we get to meet for the very first time. So thank you so much. I see here, does having a bigger house and an office at home help with sleep health? That's a great question, Chris. You know what, guys? Honestly, recently, I asked this question to myself. I said to myself, you know what? And I had this conversation with a mindset coach. She's an Olympian athlete who works in Oxyzn. And I asked her this question. And she said to me, you know what, Alex? Having dedicated spaces to do certain things within your house, it helps to put more clear boundaries between work and personal life. So he said to me, if you could, and if you do not have a big house, he actually recommended that it's a good idea to do certain things in certain like corners of your house. So for example, if you do read your book every night and you want to relax and unwind and disconnect, it's so much better to be at, to do this always at your sofa and not at the desk table where you work, because the subconscious mind associates those two and it's hard for us to switch off. So I don't know if you found that helpful, Chris, but at least that helped me so much. Does having a bigger office at work and having a better health? Robin, thank you so much for saying that. I mean, honestly, that's a great question. Great question. Yes, separating work from domestic spaces. So guys, honestly, I had such a great time. And I just want to say that I want to say a big thank to all of you who participated here today, because each and every one of you represents a member of our strong, powerful community. And this is another reason why I would like to suggest today. It's the first time actually I'm suggesting that, but I said to myself, I received so many questions before this webinar today, which was impossible to cover all the questions. So I've said to myself, I'm going to give a free consultation to each and every one of you. In February, we're going to start with 10 sessions, free consultation sessions in February, and then 10 in March, and then goes like that. And you can ask me anything you like, and we can have an open conversation, and you can pick up my brains on certain things. And may I say, it doesn't need to be necessarily about your well-being strategy. It might be about things now, like conversations we were just having about our own lifestyle and self-care practices and well-being practices, things that can help you on a personal level. So if you would like to book a free consultation call with me, ask me anything, feel free to do that. We're going to open 10 slots in February. Maria just dropped the link in the comments. Bye, Chris. Thanks for joining. Eleni, thank you so much for joining the session. Just for those of you who are wondering what comes next, we have a free webinar on family well-being and cyberbullying. Highly recommended, not just to you, to your employees as well. The presentation we will have on the 5th of February is fantastic. I've seen that presentation before with that specific expert we will have invited, and she's a phenomenal expert in the topic of family well-being. So if you want to get your free ticket for this virtual session, please let me know. Maria will drop the links in the comments. Second, I'm invited again to be one of the keynote speakers at the Well-Tech Summit, which is great, and I'm so excited. And the last thing I want to share is that we organize a private event in March to celebrate the Women's Day. And we have invited a TEDx speaker, the senior recruiter from Cisco, and we have also one of our partners who is also here, Eleni Kostakou, who is one of our key partners, and she's an amazing coach herself in our panel. So we're so excited. If you want to attend, this private event will take place at the Home Ground, which is an amazing members club here in London. We have partnership with this club, and despite not being a member, you will get free access for the day, along with some goodies, as we always give amazing gifts. So to keep everything more kind of unforgettable, let's say. So this is the schedule. Here you can book if you want a consultation with me, and Maria will drop the link for a white paper in the comments below. For those of you who want to participate in our poll, we'll share this with you later today, so you can all participate and see what other people are saying on certain things. But I want to say a big thank you for joining today, and I'll look forward to see you on our next webinar next month. Thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Kay, Rachel, Eleni. So great to have you all here, guys. And thank you for staying until the end. So